In this segment, I'm going to continue looking at the options underneath the File drop-down menu in Wings Modular, and this time specifically we're going to take a look at the design information and the options for printing. So why don't we open up the design information box found here under the File drop-down menu. Now this is fairly interesting. There's some very specific things that are found under your design information. It's telling me, first of all, it's telling me I have this butterfly design open right now currently, and it tells me where exactly that design was found because it's been saved on my computer. So this is the location or the path of the design and the name of the design. It tells me the size, 5.38 centimeters by 4.10 centimeters. Tells me the number of stitches, 6,060 stitches. It's got 5 colors. Okay. It tells me there's no borers. Tells me the number of thread trims, 13. There's no sequins in the design. If I wanted to, I could add a date to the design. Date this design with any date you want. June, whatever day it is, 15, doesn't matter. Put your fabric in here, felt, whatever you chose. These are just details that are going to come up when you go to the print options, as well as they're going to be recorded with the design so that if you want to search for designs in certain ways, you could search for them by these different keywords. So anyway, you could put in the type of yarn or the average density that you were using. These are your sort of summaries. So under the Summary tab, you can put in here the name of the customer. So if you're a professional designer and you want to save, every design you ever made for ABC Embroidery Company, if you put in there ABC Embroidery Company, then it would be searchable by ABC Embroidery Company. It'll also come up on the print sheet. The designer, well, I was the designer, and I didn't make the butterfly. It just came with the software, but let's just put in there my name just to show that you could put your own name in there, and keywords like butterfly or whatever the design may be. And notes, this design was made specifically for use with leather, or the colors of this design are special colors that we only use with black shirts versus blue shirts. So you can specialize the design information, and then it helps you when you open the design up several years or months in the future, you can have information that's helpful to you. Information about the yarn, so it'll tell you, the number of colors in the design and how much thread is being used in each color, I guess is what that is going to be. These are some settings, and I'm not even 100% familiar with some of the uses of them, like the fabric thickness and the bobbin tension, but we can obviously see what it says. And here I thought this was interesting under stitches, so it basically tells us the stitches per maximum stitch length. But what I thought was interesting was we can actually see this on a histogram. If I open this up, it shows our design, and it shows us sort of the stitch length in a histogram. So you may be able to learn things from your design, like how many of your average stitches are in this range, but you've got some very small stitches and you also have some very long stitches. And so that's kind of an interesting tool. Exact stitches, and now it gives you, I guess, based upon the type of machine that you're using, if there's any difference. So if I said, well, I use a Janome machine and I have it set for a certain jump length, it's going to calculate the exact number of stitches, so that may be slightly different from machine to machine. So that's your ability to play with that, I guess. I thought this was interesting, the machine time, so the sewing time. So if I said that I had a generic machine with a maximum stitch length of 8 or 12 millimeters, and these are going to be the sewing speeds of the machine, so not all machines have sort of the same sewing speeds. And then it'll basically calculate, so if I had a machine that sews 720 revolutions per minute with an 8 millimeter maximum stitch length, it would take 9 minutes and 55 seconds to sew. But if I had a machine that could sew 1,200 stitches per minute, and I recalculated, it would be even less time. So that's just something interesting, I guess. And again, this has got something to do with sequins, and we don't have any sequins in this design. I'm not even really fully familiar with using sequins, so but that's the design information, and we can put that all in there. And then if we look under the File drop-down menu again, and we go to Print, now some of that information should have been sort of transformed into my print preview. So basically, depending on what information, when you go to print, I'm just going to maybe move this down and make sure it's inside of my window. You have certain items that are included, and you have the ability to choose which ones. So it's the header, the color changes, the sequence icons. Maybe if I move this closer, I can get, I don't know if I can get much zoomed in on it, but the header, color changes, the sequence icons, the information, the orientation, and so you can see here that it's hiding and showing things as I turn them on. The company name, and this actually is print out by Wings Modular. This came, you can actually put that in. It's a different place where you put in your company name by who it's made by, and then that'll change in your stitch count in your printout. Binder space, that's these little holes here that they'll go away. Stitch count, so the stitch count is information. The star point, that's your basically your center of the design, whether it's on 3D view or just regular sort of computer generated lines, including the fabric, yes or no, and the design date, yes or no. And so some of those things we were able to control in the design information. And you can save these options as your default. So if you find that you never want to have the binder space, then you just turn it off and save that as your defaults. And tiled prints, so basically I guess if you wanted to have 2-page printing, then you could change that there. And auto fit, so fit to your page, basically making it bigger, and tells you the number of stitches. So that's a little bit more about the print preview options and the design information options that you can edit in the Wings Modular software.